So hi everyone, those of you that are taking your time out of the day to watch this, my name is Rax, and I'll be discussing the topic of male drivers versus female drivers. And FYI, just for my audience, I know that some of you guys may already be offended by this topic, but this is purely just for academia purposes, and it is not intended to patronize anyone. Everyone, whether they're male or female, all have their strengths and weaknesses. And it just so happens that I chose this topic for this presentation. So I implore those of you that are on the other side of the screen to just please get out your feelings and just analyze the information presented objectively. And I would really appreciate that. So just a little bit of background on this topic. As the world we live in today, at least in America, as technology are advancing and society is modernizing, uh, there has been a rise in female drivers, as since men historically and currently dominate the field that involves operating machines and vehicles. And I believe that this topic is often conflated and perceived as an insult to women, but I assure you it is not. Some of you guys and girls that are watching the video might be thinking, well, I know a driver that are better than me, or one, or I'm a better driver than most of the guys that I know. While that may be true, but I am not disproving that. Uh, I'm not disproving that. My topic is merely stating that all men, not all men, are better drivers than not all females are. And there are women out there that are better than a lot of male drivers. But on average, because the world operates in favor of the majority, and exceptions does not disprove the rule. So, historically, anything that involves with physicality, whether it's fighting, hunting, construction, and anything that involves any physical labor, they're all typically male dominant. And driving, which is the subject of the discussion in this video, requires skill that comes with the male biology. Please keep in mind that when I say driving, it is not just driving a car, but it also extends to driving a plane, a ship, a submarine, jet, train, etc. And objectively speaking, historically, even now, if we see someone standing in the cockpit that are operating these complex machines and vehicles, it is typically men. But as society evolves, there are more drivers that are female, because the more freedom that comes with technological advancement. So these are some of the factors that are involved with the research that I've done, as well as the framework of our argument. And these includes reaction time, spatial coordination and awareness, speed, emotions during impulse, distraction, experience, interest, and field dominance. So first is the reaction time. So from an article that I found written and published by the National Library of Medicine titled A Comparative Study of Visual and Auditory Reaction on the Basis of Gender and Physical Activities Levels of Medical First Year Students. This talks about a study that was done to determine the difference in reaction time between male and female. And the experiment was conducted in this article that involves utilizing a computer software, which was released in 2013 by Millisecond Software, which in which participants uh, get uh, pres get presented a black fixation cross that and pressing the spacebar as soon as a red circle appears on the screen. And the result was that male overall had a higher precision than female. And another article that was published by the same institution, titled Gender Difference in Large Scale and Small Scale Spatial Abilities, a systematic review based on behavioral and neuroimaging research. And this article talks about spatial coordination and awareness between male and female. To fast forward this is basically an experiment that was done to involving utilizing a framework analysis method to identify the commonality and distinction of the brain activity between male and female on a large and a small scale spatial ability. And the result, which I quoted, we believe that the reason why female perform not so well in large scale spatial ability is that they are more susceptible to emotions and their para hippocampal gears work efficiently than male. Female perform not so well in small scale spatial ability because they're mostly adopted the egocentric strategy and their sub-gyral also work less efficiently than male. And prior to the introduction of this article, there was also a paragraph that was discussing the aspect in which spatial awareness was a necessity to survival and human development. And this ties back to how men are literally biologically designed for this because we're the ones that that need this in order to survive. And the world we live in now was created and built based off of this fact. And just wanted to point that out. And lastly, it's the experience, interest, and field dominance. Experience-wise, male on average have more experience in driving than female. And typically, the more experience you have, the more apt you are at something. It's just lo logic, right? And when you go, and also when you go to a car mechanic shop, people who are working and modding their cars, those are typically men. And people who show more interest in activities and things that are and people sorry, let me repeat this. People who show more interest in activities and things are generally better than those who aren't. And this this isn't even a gender argument. And ladies, so let's say for example, you guys are better at makeup than us guys because you guys are more interested in making your face pretty for the world to see. That's not offensive, is it? And most of the field of expertise that involves operating machines, they're all male dominant. And a common and also and a common counter argument that I get from making this point is usually, well, if men are better drivers than female, then why is it that statistically people who get into more accidents are male or men? Well, that is true. Most people who get into accidents are men, but that's because most people who drive are men. This statistics doesn't even concern skill. It is just that since there are more of one gender that are involved in these type of activities, the probability of one side getting into situation related to these activities will logically be high as well. And if I say that, well, let's say for example, if I say that most buildings that collapse are built by construction workers, does that mean that construction workers are bad at constructing buildings? Doesn't make sense, right? So when formulating your argument, please make sure that it's coherent and that it is not an argument that is based purely on on impulse of emotion. And in conclusion, the fact that male drivers are better than female drivers is because skills that make up a quote unquote good driver are typically skills which are established that are ingrained in the human male biology. And these skills just so happens to be traits that are pertaining to men. Male in general have a significant advantage when it comes to reaction time, spatial awareness, and coordination, judgment speed, etc. Male who are Male are also less likely to panic in the likelihood of an emergency. Calm is what gets us through a difficult situation, and unfortunately, females are far more susceptible to emotion than male. Male are usually the ones that are more interested in things, while females are usually more interested in people. And people that are interested in a specific subject are typically better than those who aren't. This is just logic. And finally, biologically, anything that involves physicality, mental stoicism, skills which determines a quote unquote good driver are often derived from our innate biology. And I know I said a lot in this video, but I know that some of you guys might feel in some type of way, perhaps something negative. All uh albeit the disclaimer that I gave in the beginning. I'm not shaming anyone. That like uh it's just that in general there's always a side that is more apt at a certain subject, and there's no shame in that. And no one is able to excel at everything, nor that I think he should. There are plenty of things that female can do that are better at than male, and we have typically have no problem accepting that. It is a it's very difficult to go through life assuming that every argument is is directing at you and patronizing. While you may not apply to the standards of the argument, exceptions does not disprove the rule. The world operates in a way that favors the majority. This is just facts. It is messed up, but it is the reality. It is our but it is our job to understand these facts and to not bend them to suit our own narrow thinking. And yeah, and that is it for me. And I really appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your precious day to watch this. And yeah, thank you very much.